After being ordained nearly 39 years, I still get excited about Holy Week. And it's not just about the time we spend in church, which is more than usual, but it's about those times in between, creating time for reflection and prayer, when we are invited to contemplate at a deep level the foundational mysteries of our faith. So the gateway to Holy Week really is Palm Sunday. There is the recollection of the triumphal entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem. And then the tone changes with the reading of the Passion. And from that moment on, we are in Holy Week. The substantial part of Holy Week really is towards the end of the week, what we call the Easter Triduum. It simply means the 3 days: Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil on the night before Easter Sunday. We should really treat these 3 particular services as one continuous celebration. So on Holy Thursday, there is no dismissal. On Good Friday, we are not sent away. Rather, we are invited back for the vigil on Saturday night. So on Holy Thursday, we have that moving ceremony of the washing of the feet. And we might be tempted to think that's just a kind of visual aid for the gospel, but it's so much deeper than that. It is a sacramental act. It is deeply symbolic, and it expresses how we should be living, being disciples, washing each other's feet. And then we celebrate the institution of the Eucharist for the first time. We're invited to stay and watch at the altar of repose. This is like staying with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And many of our churches will remain open until midnight for us to do that. On Good Friday, that's the only day of the year when we don't celebrate Mass. That marks the solemnity of the day. And so in the liturgy in the afternoon, we have the solemn proclamation of John's Passion. We have the solemn intercessions, the veneration of the cross, and the very simple rite of Holy Communion. And the wonderful thing about the veneration of the cross is it is totally inclusive. However young or old you are, whatever your state in life, even if you're not a Catholic, you can come and make that act of veneration. Because in the early church, it would have been a portion of the real cross. So it's the mystery of the saving death of Jesus on the wood of the cross that we are venerating. Then we have that simple rite of Holy Communion, so we can be fed. But it's also maybe significant to remember that in the early church, people respected the Eucharistic fast and did not receive Holy Communion on Good Friday, marking that sense of absence of Jesus. And so when we leave the church on Good Friday, we're encouraged to genuflect to the cross and leave in silence, or perhaps stay a bit longer in silent veneration. So the reverence and the genuflection we would normally give to the Blessed Sacrament in the Eucharist is on this day reserved to the cross itself. That's an important takeaway. Then there follows this time of holy waiting. It is as though Jesus were in the tomb. And we gather on the Saturday night for the Easter Vigil, that wonderful lighting of the Easter fire, the light of hope and resurrection, the darkened church, and everyone carrying a candle. And in many of our churches later on in that liturgy, people will be baptized and confirmed and received into the church. There is that great sense of rejoicing. But all of us are invited to renew our baptismal promises. And in a sense, this is what all of Lent and all of Holy Week is leading up to. That sense of renewal in our lives, not simply repeating our promises, we can all say them again, but that renewed commitment to live as a disciple of the risen Jesus. So be excited about Holy Week. Make time not just for the celebrations in church, but for your own personal prayer and reflection. Allow this to be a time of grace for all of us, especially during this time when we are praying for the appointment of a new bishop, when we are continuing to renew and recreate our parish communities so that we are truly communities of prayer, formation and mission, to transform the world around us into something more like the kingdom of God that we celebrate in Holy Week.